What's up, kings and queens? It's your boy Dan from Dark Previews, and in today's video, I'm going to take you through the list of leans and a lot of picks that have my attention on this upcoming slate on the WNBA. We've got 3 games to get through. Now, if that sounds interesting, let's go. As we always do, jumping straight into Outlier, which is our go-to tool for looking at player props across a wide range of sports. Looking to do a giveaway, and in order for that giveaway to happen, we need to get 150 likes on the video. The last video that I did rolled out the giveaway. We got about 121 likes, so we were close, but not close enough. So if you're watching this, like the video, because if we get to 150 likes, somebody in the comment section is going to get 3 months free of Outlier. They normally have a 7-day free trial, which I encourage you all to try. But if you win this giveaway, you'll get 3 months free. Whether it's a new subscriber or whether you have an account already, I can get that shit added for you. So let's jump into the first game. I think it's the game that everybody's most excited about. I know I am for sure. It's the Mercury versus the Fever. We got Caitlin Clark against the old dog Durant, Diana Taurasi. So pretty keen for that game. It's probably going to be the only game that I do watch out of the 3, to be honest with y'all. And it's probably going to be the game where I put the most bets down. So buckle up, boys. First lean that I will share with you all is on BG. Let's get to Brittany Griner. Let's see what's cooking with her. And what I'm looking at here is her under in her rebounds. 7.5 rebounds for Brittany Griner. She's hit the under in 6 out of her last 10 games, averaging 6.3. Nothing magical going on there. But her line was at 6.5 in that last game against the Chicago Sky. I did like the over for that. She finished on 9 rebounds. Despite her finishing on 9 rebounds, because she finished on 9 rebounds, we've seen the pace of the play of this game is probably going to be higher. We've seen her line lift to 7.5. The under is absolutely getting smashed in. When I looked at this earlier, you're getting close to about minus 120. It's now at about minus 133, somewhere abouts. So Brittany Griner under 7.5 boards, probably going to be a popular pick. Now, why is this such a good look? Well, the first reason, it comes down to the matchup. So the Fever, they actually allow the 3rd fewest rebounds to centers this season. She's also played them twice this season, and in those games, you can see it here. 6 rebounds in the first game, where she played 31 minutes. The following game, she only had 11 minutes of action, but at the same time, finished on 0 rebounds. So 6 rebounds across 42 minutes against the Fever this season. And even if you were to look back into last year, she went under in those games as well. So 4 consecutive games, she's gone under her rebound line against the Fever. She's also playing in a back-to-back today. I don't know why the Mercury played a lot of their starters so many minutes against the Sky in a blowout, but they did it anyway. As soon as that game finished, had to travel all the way to Indianapolis for this game here against Indiana Fever. So yeah, really leaning towards the Brittany Griner under. I don't love the odds, if I'm being honest with you guys, but if you can get this on Dabble Fantasy or Chalkboard or Prize Picks and it's 7.5, surely smash the under on that. I think it's a really good look. Whilst we're talking about fading women on the rebounds, also look at Leah Copper, looking at under 4.5 rebounds for her. And we get pretty good odds here. So the under is close to plus money. Excellent odds. She's averaging 4.5 rebounds per game this season. Now, she's only hit the under of 4.5 boards in 46% of games so far this year. So matchup, though, it's a tough one for rebounds as well, especially for guards. The 4th fewest rebounds to guards. They stretch the floor. They've got Mitchell. They've got Caitlin Clark. So they really stretch the floor, whereas a lot of the wing players and the weak side probably pick up a lot of the boards, whereas Copper's probably going to spend a bit of time defending the ball, given that this team pretty much runs their offense through their backcourt, and all they do is feed Aaliyah Boston or shoot it themselves. So she's also got a good history against them. Well, if you like the under. So 5 consecutive games, Leah Copper's gone under 4.5 rebounds against the Fever. 2 games against them this year, 3 rebounds in the first game, and then 1 rebound in the next. So the historical matchup is there. The matchup is a good one. And the fact that the odds are close to plus money, give me that. I'm going to stick with the Mercury here for the next play, and we're looking at Diana Taurasi. Now, we're looking at a points prop. So we just took her under 15.5 points against the Chicago Sky, and that was due to the matchup. In that game, she scored 11 points, despite playing a whole lot of minutes. At the end of the day, she went on and we cashed. But today, I'm actually looking at the opposite of that. I'm looking at over 14.5 points for the old girl. She's exceeded 14.5 points in 8 straight games versus the bottom 5 defenses for points allowed. Now, I wouldn't know that if it wasn't for Outlier. Check that out. This is one of the reasons why you have to get it. The insights it produces, delicious. So you can see it right here. 8 consecutive games against the teams ranking in the bottom 5 in terms of points allowed. She's averaging 21.5 points per game against them. Now, the Fever, they allow the second most points overall, and against guards, they allow the most points by far. Now, if we think about play styles and matchups, styles make fights, and Diana Taurasi, she scores 60% of her points above the break, and the Fever are the second worst team at defending that spot on the floor. She also scores in the pick and roll, as a ball handler, and as a spot-up shooter. Now, the Fever rank in the bottom 4 for both of these categories. Now, against these bottom 4 ranked teams in these categories, Diana's averaging 20.3 points per game. So it's all signs point to yes here. Looking for the old girl to bounce back in this big showdown against Caitlin Clark. And the next play was sticking with the Mercury here, and I'm liking a Natasha Cloud over 10.5 points in this game. Now, she's covered this in 9 out of her last 11 games, averaging 13.9 points per game. She had 3 points in the game today. As I record this against the Sky, she still played a lot of minutes, was 1 from 7. So really poor showing from her. I'm looking to back her in a bounce back. I also mentioned that the Fever are the worst teams in the league at stopping guards, and that's exactly what Natasha Cloud is. Now, she played the Fever earlier this season. She scored 15 points in that matchup at the start of July, took 12 shots, and played 32 minutes. So pretty much close to what she's been averaging as of late. So she likes to score in the pick and roll, and she also knocks down above the break freeze. Both play types, the Fever, they rank absolutely poorly in. Against the bottom 4 teams in this category this season, Cloud is averaging 15.6 points per game, covering in 8 out of 9 games. So Natasha Cloud, that one's looking fantastic as well. The next look I have in this one is probably going to be the most popular pick on the board today, and it's Caitlin Clark over 10.5 assists. Now, this opened at 9.5. This was yesterday when I looked at it, 9.5. It's now at 10.5. I still don't mind it. The thing I don't like about it is how many people are going to be betting on it. I do like it. I do think it's going to cash, but I think the fact that everybody's going to be on this makes me a little bit hesitant. It's burnt me many times before. But Caitlin Clark, she's covered this line in 6 out of her last 7 games, averaging 12.4 assists per game. She's had 2 games against the Mercury this season. She dropped 12 and 13 assists. Now, the matchup for this is absolutely excellent. The Mercury allow the second most assists to guards this season. Now, despite blowing out the Sky by 20 points and holding them to 65 points, Lindsay Allen still recorded 6 assists against them in only 16 minutes of game time. So the matchup is there. You can see it when the opponents verse this Mercury team. They seem to get a lot of assists off. And you've got Caitlin Clark, who's been balling out of control. Her assists before the Olympic break, through the fucking roof. The last game she played, she had 19 goddamn assists. So 10.5, I think it honestly is a good line, and I do like her over. But again, my only concern is that every motherfucker with a hand is going to be betting on that. And I don't know. I'm a bit of a rebel like that. But if you like it, go ahead. Caitlin Clark over 10.5 assists. What I do also like in this game, for the Fever, some of these girls, and I think this is all correlation to Caitlin assists. So I do like Aaliyah Boston over 16.5 points. She's been a beast, covering in 7 out of her last 10 games. The Mercury, they do allow the 3rd most amount of points in the league, so it should be a high-scoring game, this one. And against bottom 5 defenses in the league, you can see it right here. Aaliyah Boston has covered in 4 out of 5 games, averaging 18.8 points per game. She's played the Mercury twice this season. She scored 17 the first time and then 21 points the following matchup. I think the risk in this play is the battle of the bigs down low. BG ain't no slouch. Well, she's a slouch a little bit, but she's big and she's going to be a difficult matchup. And that's my only concern with this. The most recent game against them where she scored 21 points. We looked at it when we looked at BG's graph. She only played 11 minutes in that game. So surely enough, Aaliyah Boston took advantage of that matchup. The 17 points she scored in the first game is probably a more accurate representation of where she should be, which is why the line's at 16.5. So I wouldn't bash this because she's done it twice against the Mercury, but it does correlate well. She does have good history against them in the 2 games, and we know Caitlin Clark's going to find her for a few easy buckets. So I do like it. I think it's a really good look. Another look that I do like from the Indiana Fever is Mitchell. Now, it's not Kelsey Mitchell's points because 18.5 is a little bit too high for me. It's normally around 15.5, 16.5, 18.5. I'm not fucking with that. I like her over 2.5 3-pointers made. And like I said, this correlates well with Caitlin Clark's assists. Now, this Mercury team, they suck at defending the perimeter. They are dead last in defending spot-up shooters, and they're dead last at defending above the break. Now, Mitchell scores 41% of her points from above the break, and 25% of them are above the break threes. Now, Kelsey Mitchell has exceeded 2.5 3-pointers in 7 out of her last 8 games versus bottom 5 defenses for 3-pointers made. And I wouldn't know that, again, if it wasn't for Outlier. Check that fucking crazy shit out, boys. So she's been cashing this against shit teams very well. 6.6 attempts on average. She's going to put it up. It's going to be a high-scoring game. We just need to make sure she knocks a few down. So Kelsey Mitchell, and you're getting pretty good odds at this. It's better than -110. Depends where you look. But Mitchell to hit some 3-pointers. Give me that. Now, I pretty much looked at almost every single player that's worth betting on in this game, and I might have bet on almost all of them. But taking a look at the next set, we've got the Storm versus the Dream. And being honest with you, I didn't like too much in this game. So let's talk through a couple of players and what my reservations were. So Ryan Howard, for example, probably the best player on this Atlanta Dream team. She's only been back for 1 game since her injury. She did play well within that game, but then we've had a big break, and I wasn't game enough to touch anything for her. The Seattle team, pretty good defensively. If anything, I was looking at unders within this game. But we see, honestly, I was going to talk to you guys about Jewel Lloyd and her assist numbers. I didn't think that was such a bad look, but then I found out, well, I looked at the old box scores, and then I was like, nah, I ain't playing that shit. But Jewel Lloyd over 4.5 assists. The matchup for this is excellent. The Dream, they're actually really good at limiting guards from scoring, but they do allow the 3rd most assists to guards. Now, Lloyd's only averaging 4 assists per game on the season, so the books might be sharp, setting this at 4.5. She's played the Dream once this season, and she recorded seven assists. Now, I found that a little bit strange, so I looked further into the box score, and what happened within this game is Skylar Diggins actually got injured. Got early, so Jewel Lloyd assumed that point guard role, which led to a little bit more assists. Now, with Skylar Diggins playing this game, I don't know how confident I would be on taking Jewel Lloyd to go over her assists. So, and I didn't necessarily love her points prop either because the matchup's a little bit difficult, I would say. But then also, thanks to Outlier, I found, well, check this stat out. Jewel Lloyd has failed to exceed 20.5 points in 5 straight games against the top 5 defenses for points allowed. One of those was the Atlanta Dream, where she scored 14. But when I was looking at her PRA, because I was going to fade the whole thing for Jewel Lloyd, I stumbled across this insight. Now, Jewel Lloyd has exceeded 28.5 PRA in 15 of her last 19 games on the road. You can see all of her road games. Some of them are from last season, but the majority are from this season. And to be honest, when the Seattle team travels, she's a bit of a beast. So I wasn't willing to take her under. I think Skylar Diggins, her assist could be a really good look, but the odds for it are not great. So we're looking at probably about -130 for this. Now, her line's at 5.5. Before this Olympic break, her line is about 6.5, 7.5. There's been a few games where it's been over 8. So the assist sky high. Did get injured in that last game against the Dream, and you can see it here. Only played 13 minutes. Came back against the Spark. Only had 5 assists. But 5.5 for her. It ain't nothing but a G thing. She's averaging 6.5 assists on the season, and this is a good matchup for assists. So Skylar Diggins is probably one that I'd look at, but at these odds, not something that I'm willing to bet on. But again, if you're on Dabble or anything like that, Skylar Diggins assists, if you can get the same line, I think it's a pretty good look. The others I look at Nyeka, so like hers feel quite sharp. Ezzy Magbador, she played really good against the Dream when they last matched up, but the matchup's actually not good on paper when you break it down, so I didn't want to fuck around with that. Alicia Gray, very similar. It all seemed pretty sharp for me, so being honest with you, there's probably nothing I'm going to bet on this game. Don't particularly like it, but one that might get your attention, Suns vs Wings, and I've got a couple of good looks in this one, I think. So the first one I want to talk you through is Marina Mabrey. Marina Mabrey, if you did not know, she played for the Chicago Sky. She got traded over the break. from the side to the Sun, which I think is a pretty awesome trade. And I think she's going to complement them pretty well. So I'm looking at over 12.5 points here for Marina Mabley. And I do love this play, given the look of the Suns roster at the moment. This is her first game. She averaged 14 points per game this season. Seeing her line come down to 12.5 isn't a surprise, given that she's on a better team now in a slightly different role. What I do like about Mabry going over the 12.5 today is that Dejanay Carrington is out and Tiffany Mitchell for the Sun. So Mabry will see a ton of minutes. I think 30 to 35 minutes for her is going to be great because they lose 12 points alone with Carrington out. So I do expect Mabry to be the biggest beneficiary in this spot. The matchup is excellent as the Wings. They do allow the third most points to guards this season, and they allow the most points overall. So looking at the makeup of this Connecticut Sun team, where are they going to get points from? Bonner's probably their best scorer, but particularly against the Wings, she's actually struggled. She has the best matchup, Bonner, but she's always struggled against the Wings when I looked at the numbers, if I remember correctly. So if it's not going to be Bonner, where are the points going to come from? Alyssa Thomas might get 10 to 15 points, sure. But at the same time, the Wings, they got some reinforcements and a lot of their forwards are back in, so they might be a little bit better down low. So I think that perimeter defense might get tested, and Mabry's probably the girl. The other look that I have two different looks on Alyssa Thomas. Not sure which one I want to pull the trigger on or if I pull the trigger at all. But the first one I'm looking at is over 11.5 points. Pretty good odds for this. Now, she does have an excellent matchup in this game. So Alyssa Thomas, she typically just gets to the free throw line and she scores in transition. That's how she gets buckets, just shoulders away into the paint, forces shit up. Sometimes it goes in, and if it doesn't, she usually gets fouled. Now, this Dallas Wings team is terrible at defending that type of play type. She's on the Wings in the past. Check this out, head-to-head numbers. She's covered this in 5 out of her last 6 games against them, including 2 games this year where she scored 15 and 13 points. The main risk that I have in this game, and you can see it in the last 10, this play, is Alyssa Thomas. Her minutes are a little bit erratic. Sometimes she'll play close to 40. Other times she'll play about 20 minutes. And it's got nothing to do with blowouts or anything like that. Some of these games were close. It's got nothing to do with foul trouble either. I don't know whether she was nursing injuries or what the hell was going on, but Alyssa Thomas, my only reservation with betting her is her minutes. But if she does get 30-plus minutes, I think she goes over 11.5 points with ease. The other look that I had, I wanted to fade her rebounds plus assists to take the under 18.5. Now, the under has hit in 71% of her games this season, 17 out of 24 games. If you look at her last 10, it's hitting 9 out of her last 10. She's averaging 15.2 rebounds plus assists. Now, her lines are projecting her to get pretty close to a triple-double. It's like 8.5 rebounds, 9.5 assists. Whilst the Wings are shit, it still feels like there's an edge here if you take the under. As bad as the Wings are, they're actually pretty good at rebounding the ball, and they allow the second fewest rebounds in the league. Now, her assist line, it might be high with Cannington out, but the way that I thought about it is Mabry's a better creator on the offensive end, so she could alleviate some of the playmaking duties from Thomas. It's not going to be one-way traffic of Thomas feeding Mabry. I think when the shot clock goes low, Mabry could be someone you get the ball to. She can create for others and she can score. So, and Dallas, they also have some reinforcements back at the forward position. They've got Brown, Sabally, so Thomas probably not going to have it so easy in this game. So that's another look for Alyssa Thomas that I'm looking at and considering taking. Now, looking at the other players in this game, the Dallas Wings, for the most part this season, their player props, they've been pretty good to bet on because you can normally predict where the production is going to come from. Whether Sarah McCowan, Arika Ogunbowale, more recently, we've seen a bit more Natasha Howard. But there's too much movement happening at the moment. Like, I'm looking at Arike's unders, given the Suns are a really good defensive team, right? And I've had a lot of success betting unders on guards when they verse the Connecticut Sun. The problem here and the concern that I have is that it's Mabry's first game for the Connecticut Suns. In a first game, the defense from her side of the ball might not be great. They might not be in sync, and Arike can absolutely cook. So the one concern that I do have, the other thought process is, Sabally, they're back for the Dallas Wings as well. How does it impact Arike's play? I was thinking she might shoot less, but knowing her, she probably won't. But then I mean, look lines of the other players. So if I'm not betting on Enrique, most likely I'm betting on Tierra McCowan or I'm betting on Natasha Howard. The problem now is with Brown and Sabali back, I don't know how these minutes are going to be spread. I don't know what the shot distribution is going to be. I don't know who the fuck's going to get the rebounds for this team. They're going to get rebounds for sure. They've got some good rebounding girls in there, but I don't know what the rotations are going to look like. So for now, I wanted to sit tight on a lot of these Dallas wings, see how players are impacted and how this team looks together, and then we'll get a better look. So didn't want to take any risks in trying to jump ahead and make a prediction because being completely honest with you, I do not know. So let's not just fuck around. But there's quite a few plays. As you can see, a lot of the plays that I'm really looking at do come from that Fever versus Mercury game. Really excited about that one. These have made my final picks. I'm close to making my final picks. And they've all been sent to my VIP. So if you're interested in checking out my VIP, the link for that is below. But the main thing I want to see from you lads is to like the video, drop a comment, because I want to give away this Outlive subscription. It is 3 months free. As always, I ask that you support the channel. One way that you can do that, if you apart from watching it, liking it, and dropping some comments, is to check out some of the affiliate links I have below. If you don't have Dabble Fantasy, Rebet, or Chalkboard, you can use the code DAFT or use the links in the description below. You'll get deposit matches with Chalkboard and Rebet. You'll get a free $10 with your Dabble account as soon as you sign up. And all of those things go a long way to helping me get out of the hood and do this shit full time for you guys. I've also cooked up a new baseball strategy, which has been working for me for the last few days. So for those of you guys, my VIP, stay tuned. You'll see that coming in the next couple of hours. But I appreciate you if you made it this far. I'll catch you guys in the next one, and I hope you win that Outlive subscription. Peace.